I was about to get ready to go on a night ruck, and I started to see comments on some videos, and they say, X, when are you going to give your opinion about all the rumblings going on in Iran? Of course, I keep up with the news, but it kind of started to feel like the boy who cries wolf. And it just felt like, we may have come to a resolution through diplomatic efforts and the talks in Oman and everything that we had going on. And I started feeling a little bit better about my America First stance and my taxpayer dollars not necessarily being spent on another war. And then I started to see the military buildup that over there in the Middle East, and things seem to be changing quickly. Let me tell you what I think all this means. But first, let's take a look at this very rapid and quick buildup that's going on overseas, and it is pretty fast.
Military strike on Iran could happen as soon as Saturday, according to top national security officials. President Trump has already positioned U.S. warships and fighter jets in the region as nuclear talks continue with Iran. Senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe has the latest. Ed, good evening. What are you hearing?
So you see that it's Ash Wednesday. We got Fat Tuesday going on. People are kind of getting ready with Lent, and people are celebrating and about to give up stuff, and we got stuff going on the region. And I'm starting to see more and more where it seems to be more grumblings of us possibly getting ready for a war front versus anything else. And it just leads me to believe that this could be go time. Let's take a look at some reports that's going on all over the place. This is AZ Intel that I follow on the X. It's the second aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford. It's 3 destroyers, could be in the Mediterranean as early by this weekend or early next week. Now, here's the thing. Right now, the Gerald R. Ford is currently off the west coast of Spain. It's near Gibraltar. It could go through that strait tonight if it wanted to. And I think the reason that it even travels to that area is to, in essence, be a protection, to be ready to protect Israel in the Mediterranean. I think we could easily see that aircraft carrier in the Eastern Mediterranean with all of its protection assets there in no time. So we got them coming in the Mediterranean. We have a whole nother strike group with Abraham Lincoln in the Arab Sea. And so we're seeing all sorts of stuff move throughout the region. Also, AZ Intel says that the U.S. Air Force has recently moved dozens of jet fighters and support aircraft to the air base in Jordan, into the air base in Saudi Arabia, according to flight tracking data. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy currently has 13 ships in the Middle East, in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, to support potential operations. We see that this is the largest gathering of firepower, air power, and military assets in the region since the 2003 Iraqi invasion. We have a lot of assets in that area. I don't think we put all those assets in the area if we don't intend to do something with them. The U.S. is ready to strike Iran, but President Trump has yet to make the final decision yet. He's the commander in chief. He will make that final decision. Of course, we don't necessarily have like a War Powers Act or anything going on over there, which would lead me to believe that we're authorized to go like full send with something in that area, but we're still getting everything set up just in case we want to make that final drawdown. I mean, the scale of the U.S. military buildup over there is crazy big right now. We have assets that are just massive. Of course, we got the Gerald R. Ford. We have the Abraham Lincoln. We have all of the support group in the carriers to go along with that, as well as at least 2 submarines. We have the Coast Guard, all sorts of aircraft that can do strikes. It's just tons and tons of assets moving into the area. Open Intel reports that U.S. President Trump has been briefed on options to attack Iran, which includes a campaign to kill sources of Iranian political and military leaders with the goal of overthrowing the government. Regime change, I see, huh? As well as an air attack that would be limited to striking targets, including nuclear and ballistic missile facilities, according to U.S. officials and foreign officials as well. We're sending all sorts of aircraft into the region. We're not turning off our transponders. We're letting ourselves be tracked. This is another way of show of force. We're sending our Centuries, our Pegasus, large tankers. And I'm going to tell you my theory of why we're sending those there. I think this is a three-pronged plan as to we're seeing all this stuff leave the United States, head over pit stops in the UK to refuel as they head into different bases like Bulgaria, Germany, Cyprus. We have all sorts of places that we have throughout the region. Our Centuries are huge aircrafts which have the ability to basically be air traffic controllers in the sky and direct other tankers to refuel aircrafts in the region just in case we need them. And when we see these go, we only have 16 of these aircrafts in our fleet. We sent 3 of them over there. We don't know how many are already in the region. And we're positioning them in places like Cyprus and Bulgaria, as I mentioned. We have other aircraft that we're sending to Jordan. We have aircraft we're sending to Saudi Arabia. We're beefing up a lot of different stuff. This is a grave warning, in my opinion, to Iran, and they should be ready. And this is another nail in the coffin when I start to hear the opposition party, which is the Democrats, right? So we got the Republicans that are in power, their opposition party, start to say stuff like this. Now, this is a clip taken out of context, but he started the clip this way. And this is a senator who, in theory, authorizes the War Powers Act. Let's see what he has to say.
Senator Mark Warner of Virginia. He is the vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee. You know a whole lot more than I do about this, sir. What can you tell us?
Well, Katie, I think it's appropriate that the president has all the options on the table.
So he's saying that he believes it makes sense for the president to have all the options on the table. Of course, when you lead with that, that kind of goes without being said. Our president should have all the options on the table. But before Venezuela, Democrats were using language like, you better come to us first and get authorization before you do anything. You better run it by us. We need to know what the plans are. We should be briefed. This leads me to believe that Congress has already been briefed, that at this point, you're either getting on board or you're shutting the hell up. And I think that Iran has a dilemma. I think that Iran does not want to absorb the first strike like it always does. Operation Midnight Hammer, it absorbed the first strike. Israel went out there and laid their balls on them, hitting different ballistic missile sites, eventually where we helped out and hit nuclear sites. At the same time, it does not want to be seen as the aggressor. Okay, so this weekend, they're supposed to be doing military exercises with Russia. China is supposed to be helping them with intel, which kind of brings me to today's video sponsor, which is Aura. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, we're talking about military assets, but I personally do not want me or Mrs. X or any of my 5 kids' social security numbers popping up on the dark web without me getting some type of notice. I use Aura to give me that type of information. When I hear China is helping out Iran, China stole my information in 2014, along with almost another a million federal employees in military. I was active duty military at the time. They got my birthday. They got my social security number, and I'm sure they got all sorts of other crap. I don't want that happening again. I use Aura not only to let me know if my information's on the dark web, to include my emails and stuff like that, but they also try to get rid of those crazy ass data brokers who are always selling your stuff, hitting you up for random free loans or whatever the case may be. It's a headache. I think that the cyber capabilities of Iran is higher than we are led to believe. Them being coupled with the help of China, I don't play around with my online protection. Now, I leave it to the government to kinetic protection, right? Because I can't, no matter how many weapons I have, I'm not ready to go with the full onslaught of another country attacking me. That's left to the government. But when it comes to my personal protection, I go with companies like Aura. Click the link down below. Check out the 14-day free trial. I think you're going to like it. And this thing is, if there are considered the aggressors, and then it makes the American people more on board on whatever the hell is going on. I don't know if this has really been sold to us. I don't know if this has been sold to like exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And so that's the thing that I think is the conundrum. The USS Gerald R. Ford is not yet in the CENTCOM theater. As I mentioned before, they're right outside the theater on the west side of Spain. Once they go through Gibraltar, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, They are in that thing. Okay. Within 3 to 4 days, they can be in the Eastern Mediterranean. We got submarines which has tons of Tomahawk missiles, which have capabilities to do ground strikes and also to intercept any type of ballistic missiles. We have the Abraham Lincoln, which is in the already went through the Strait of Hormuz. It is in Arabian Sea. We have all sorts of Coast Guard assets. We have stuff all over the place. If Iran intends to launch a presumptive or preemptive surprise strike, then they're going to have to do it before the Ford links up with the Abraham Lincoln. And they're not going to be operating in the same water space or anything like that. But in essence, they would be in an area where they would have to do this sooner than later. Here's the thing, guys. I don't think anything's going to occur before the Olympics are over. That's just me. Okay. I don't know why. Olympics are always just this thing where when it's going on, a lot of things kind of stand still. You know, the U.S. hockey team, the U.S. men's hockey team just advanced to the semifinals. There's a lot going on with the Winter Olympics. I don't think anything goes down, but I could be wrong. I would say this. Before we went into Venezuela, I said there's no way we have 25% of our deployed Navy, 10% of our Navy in total in the Caribbean, and we do nothing with them. And unfortunately, I was right. I believe that we have a higher percentage than just 25% of our Navy assets in CENTCOM, which is Central Command. There's no way that we don't do anything with those. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you about this 3-pronged plan. And Iran, if you're watching this video, I'm going to just tell you why. If we strike, we lay our scrotum on your shoulder, and there's not a lot that you can do about it. First, we're hitting folks with naval dominance. Carrier strike groups in the East Mediterranean, a carrier strike group in the Arabian Sea. We have, whether it's the Strait of Gibraltar, which is the Eastern Mediterranean, we have the supporting fleet for the carrier strike group. We have naval dominance. Doesn't matter what type of naval games they're planning. We have the seas locked up. That's number one. Number two, we've fortified our air defenses. The reason that we saw C-5, C-130s, we saw all those aircrafts going to different assets throughout the region, Qatar, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Spain, anywhere where there are troops or Americans, we fortified our air defenses. We brought more assets there. We don't have like a Golden Dome or an Iron Dome of our own, but we're able to bring heavy lift logistics into those areas by C-17s, by C-5 Galaxies. And we're able to say, hey, listen, if we strike and Iran decides to retaliate, we have more assets there. And that's been happening over the last 10 days. So our base protection is now elevated. Naval dominance, base protection is elevated. And now we're coming with the strategic aviation and logistics. This is the last prong in the plan, in my opinion. Our tanker brigades, our tanker bridges are up there. The reason that we send our Centuries, our Pegasus into the area is because there's going to be some countries, although they're our allies, they're not going to let us use their airspace or the bases that we have there. For instance, we have a base in Saudi Arabia. They may say, hey, listen, we like y'all. We kick it. We cool. But you can't use your base here in our country to launch attacks against Iran. We want peace. We could say, cool. All right, bet. But you know what we will do? We will have refueling aircrafts in the air, so we don't have to land in Saudi Arabia to make a strike or to be able to land those aircrafts. We can just refuel in the air. We're gonna have a Sentry in the air, which acts like an air traffic controller, directing different aircraft that's going on. We're gonna always have combat flights going on, or just Sentry flights going on through different fighter jets. And our extended range is going to be handled by our own aircrafts. We won't have to worry about landing in the countries where we have bases. We got bases everywhere, but that doesn't mean those host countries are going to let us use those bases. So we're good on extended range. We're good on battlefield oversight. I think the 3-pronged plan is here. So the potential for an attack, I think the timeline for that attack is possibly coming. January 13th, there were initial warnings from President Trump. You remember those warnings? Stand fast, take names. We're coming to help you protesters. Keep your head down. We got your back. Then January 22nd, he said we had a massive armada bigger than you've ever seen, which in essence seemed to be true. It's bigger now. February 16th and the 18th, major tanker movements from Greece, or to Greece rather, major tanker movements to Bulgaria. And now tonight, possibly, we could be moving another carrier strike group into the region. February 18th, it's now February 19th as I'm finishing up this video. It can be coming this weekend. Is it going to come this weekend? I don't know. Okay. Before we did our January 2nd attack where we took out Maduro, I thought it could be at any moment. And unfortunately, I was right. I'm just laying out my plans to why I think it could be coming sooner than later, because Iran does not want to give up its proliferation of nuclear weapons. They don't want to give up their ability to have the assets. They want easing on sanctions. That's what they want. They want to stay in power, and they want sanction relief. They want the ability to sell their oil, make their money, et cetera, et cetera. And right now we got debilitating sanctions on the country where it's really crippling the regime. They want some of that stuff eased up, but they don't want to give up any of their nuclear stuff, because they look at North Korea and they say, we can improve our cyber capabilities, and if we have nukes, no one's going to F with us. Well, we're trying to take down the cyber with ethical hacking. And of course, we want your freaking nukes. We want to send our own special operators into your old bunkers, into your old sites, and rip out the guts. See if there's any centrifuges that you didn't take away from there, any equipment. We want your freaking nuclear scientists jailed and bailed and thrown into European countries and stuff like that. Is it going to happen? I don't know. That's my take. The buildup is freaking huge. I joined the Marines in 2006 because after we made that initial push into Iraq, of course, I was still high. I would have been one of those first guys writing my name on a freaking weapon in 2000, on a bomb in 2003, hoping it got dropped somewhere in Iraq. And this really hasn't been sold to us Americans. In my opinion, I think that it's up to the administration to sell why we need to send our taxpayer dollars and possibly our troops in harm's way. Why are we not sticking with America first and just spending our ducats here? And hate it or love it, in 2015, we had a nuclear deal and we weren't using all these military assets. Now, if you didn't like the JLC, the nuclear deal, I forget the nickname of it, you know, we had it in place. But now we're at this point where we might have to be sending all sorts of money, which is costing us a lot of bread just to have those carrier strike groups and all that stuff in the region. And we might have to put troops in harm's way, because I don't care what y'all say. Don't sneeze at the Iranian assets and capabilities. Of course, we got shit that I don't know about. Those Sentry aircrafts, our Pegasus aircrafts, are ways to implement warfare that we don't know about, I think is tremendous. But just looking at the example that happened between Ukraine and Russia, drone warfare is a real thing. And a drone costs less than $1,000 to make. It can be launched from Iran. It can be put towards troops in Qatar and any troops that we have in the Arabian Sea. I don't know. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. What do you think? Do you think we got some stuff going on that we need to be concerned about? I'm going to finish this stick. I'm going to tighten up this chest rig from Eberly stock. And I'm going to go ahead and bust out this 5 miles. But I wanted to give my opinion on that first because I thought it was pretty prevalent. If it's not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.